Hello, my dear friend. Some people think too much and worry too much about certain things, and the things they worry about can be small things like, why did he treat me like that? Why didn't he say hello to me? Or, what if something happens to my parents? What if something happens to my loved ones? What if I lose them? As I said, it can be small or big. These kinds of thoughts bring you to such a point in your mind that you think about them non-stop. The moment you go to bed, it's a miracle for you to sleep. You think about it for 2 hours, 3 hours, you eat. You can't taste what you eat and drink because you are thinking about it all the time. You meet your friends, your head is on this side, and you can't enjoy being there. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to stop worrying about such thoughts. We usually have 3 attitudes about the thoughts we are obsessed with. The first attitude is that we try not to think about it, we try to push it away as much as possible, we try to fight it. And in such a situation, it becomes a case of thinking about a pink elephant. That is, the more you try not to think about a pink elephant, the more the pink elephant persistently tries to enter your mind. What are you doing? When you fight a thought, you always lose because you cannot fight thoughts. The more you try to fight it, the more it will come upon you, and the more, in fact, it will become stronger. Second thing, attract it. You call it to you, and you think and think and think. That if you think about it a lot, you will be able to solve it. In fact, it doesn't solve it, and it makes you exaggerate your obsession with it. The other thing is suppression, sweeping under the rug the events, situations, thoughts that have the potential to haunt you in your daily life. You think, I have got rid of those thoughts. But it is not possible. It is not very possible to get rid of those thoughts. What happens? You sweep it under the carpet, it erupts somewhere else. What do? Somewhere else you start becoming an anxious person. If you fight with your thoughts, they will always win. If you invite your thoughts into your life and let them take control, there will be no living space left for you. If you ignore your thoughts, somehow they will continue to affect your life from the background. What are you going to do then? You are neither going to remove your thoughts from your life. You are not going to fight with them. You are not going to let them completely enter your life. You are not going to ignore them. You are going to put a distance between you and them. Let's say you have a fear, a problem, a thought that you are obsessed with. You will not try to throw it out of your life. You will try to solve it when this issue first comes up. You will think and do what you can do at that moment. Then if it is not resolved, this issue will stand somewhere next to you. And what will you do instead of devoting yourself because it is not resolved? You will focus on what you need to do in your life. You will take care to spend time with your friends, to spend time for yourself. Maybe you will say that you can't give your head. Try as much as you can. Take care of these things as much as you can. Even if you give 50%, you know what the profit will be. After a while, when you focus on other issues, that thought that you put distance between you, it will gradually begin to fade away gradually, because if a person obsesses about something throughout his life, then that issue goes away, and another issue comes, and usually a very large part of what we fear does not happen. You know, the poet says, "This beautiful weather has ruined me." What ruins us, especially in this obsession, is our expectations. Now think about it. You want to get married, or you want to have children. You want to be a mother or a father. You want to get a job. And what can you do about it? The things you are going to do, if there are things you are going to do, you are doing them. Imagine that this news will come through a door, and you are constantly waiting by that door. You check it every day. Am I going to get married? Am I not going to get married? I couldn't get married today. I couldn't find a job today. It gets to such a point that this expectation of news coming through that door creates serious problems for you to live your life at that moment. What do? If I leave this door, it's as if I'm going to miss it. You think about it all the time, you focus on it all the time. You don't have room for anything else in your life, I'm saying. If the future came and told you that you're never going to get married, you're never going to get a job, you're never going to do this, you're never going to do that, would your life be so bad? The people I ask this usually say it's very bad at first, but then when they gradually adapt to this issue, they say, what if I can't get married? I would continue to live my life. I would find other things that give me pleasure. Imagine that if you remove your expectation on this issue, you will already focus on living your life. You focus on living your life. If that thing comes, it will already find you. So you should go on living your life without waiting at the door. You think too much, you think nonstop. You think that if I think too much about something, it will be solved, whereas 99% of your thoughts are garbage. Imagine there's something that's going to happen tomorrow, or there's something bad that's going to happen tomorrow, and you start worrying a day in advance, a week in advance, a month in advance. If that bad thing is going to happen, and when you worry about it in advance, you're going to feel bad about it tomorrow, this day and this moment. I think there's a presupposition behind this. I think people think that if I think about it enough, it will be solved, but that's not the case. For example, the subject of presentation used to be, an anxious subject for me. I used to start worrying about it a month before. I used to say to myself that I should question this subject enough. I should think about it. What will happen? What will I tell? What if this happens? What if that happens? And I realized that when I think about a subject too much beforehand, I make myself nervous, I make myself anxious, and now when such a thought comes, I give myself a suggestion like this. I say, when the time comes, you will do it anyway. Did you do your best? I did. Do you have any experience in this? Yes. But is thinking about it now going to help you? No. Then I say, I can't get this thought out of my head right away, but I try to focus on whatever I'm dealing with. I've disciplined myself in this regard now, and the thoughts don't come until the last minute anyway. When it comes to that issue, good or bad, it happens spontaneously anyway. If the things you obsess about are related to people, there is usually an unresolved emotion there. Let's say someone said something bad to you, you have an unfinished conflict with someone, such things are very much on your mind. Why did he treat me like that? Why did he say that to me? Or why did he make such a face? Because here the unexpressed emotion remains unfinished. Our mind tends to repeat unfinished things all the time because our mind cannot tolerate unfinishedness, uncertainty. You will start writing scenarios in your own head all the time. If I had said, if only I had done this. The only solution to this is to talk to the person who is the interlocutor of that unfinished feeling in a reasonable way. Why did you say that to me? Or, you said that, and I felt that way. There is no need to come to a conclusion. There is no need to resolve that conflict at that moment. When the emotion that remains in you is transferred to the other party, that emotion, that obsession in you will end. But when you leave a lot of crumbs of emotion, remnants of emotion, when there is such an unfinished business about whoever, that issue will not come out of your head for nights and days and will occupy your mind. Sometimes you get very upset about the negative things that you think await you in the future, and you obsess about them. What if I get fired from my job? What if I break up with my lover? Or what if I lose someone I love from my family? In such cases, I actually think like this. The scenario I have encountered in clients for years is this. There is another fear behind the main fear. I say, let's say, what happens if this thing you fear the most happens to you? Let's say, what happens if you lose your mother or father from your family? Usually the first answer is like this. I'd be ruined, I'd be finished, life would be over for me. Okay, this is the emotional thing at that moment. How will life go on for you afterwards? I'll be alone, okay? You're alone. What happens after you're alone? I can't cope in life. I'll have difficulties. What is he actually doing? The person who is afraid of losing his parents is afraid of life. In fact, he is afraid that he is incapable of struggling alone. Or let's think like this. Let's give another example. A man is afraid of being fired from his job. Let's say if you are fired from your job, what will happen? Will you starve financially? No, I have a savings. I won't starve. So what happens? Then my wife will leave me. Why? Because my wife is very careful about this. I don't think she will support me in this regard if I don't work. In fact, the fear of being fired is the fear of being abandoned by one's wife. You too, if you have such a fear, you can use this style, this questioning. You can ask this question until you get to the bottom of it, until you get to the real fear. What if that happens? You will find your real fear. You can develop a solution for it. If they ask me, can you tell us a magic sentence? I would tell them this sentence. What's the worst that can happen? This is such a beautiful sentence that when you ask yourself this in difficult times, it sprinkles water on that unquenchable fire inside you and comforts you. Now, man is a very adaptive being. He gets used to the bad very quickly. He gets used to the good very quickly. We worry about small issues today, maybe 70 or 80 years ago, when very big events took place in the country, people got used to even that. What are you actually doing? When you ask, what's the worst that can happen, about the things you obsess about, even in the worst case scenario, you will get used to it after a while. Life goes on. As I said, bad things go by, good things go by, but at some point people eventually remain constant. I often ask myself, we are all human beings, good and bad things happen to us, life is actually the average of these good and bad things. We are not so different from each other. I am here, you are there, we are close to each other. In fact, in these difficult times I say to myself, don't do too much. Life is actually the same for everyone. Good and bad, we are going on average. Thank you so much for listening to me, beautiful person. Be good to yourself. See you soon, by the way. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications to be notified of new videos immediately after subscribing.